I could start. I could start, say, in 1946, why I went to see Henry Stone.
Let's start there.
Okay. In 1946, I came back from the service, and they, because I taught for a little while, the Tiny Hard Tramp, the athletic director, wanted to know if I wanted to continue teaching and helping out, and I said sure. So the course was under Tiny Hard Tramp, and I was a student, and it was under Tiny Hard Tramp's name, and I just, just continued right on, and I never thought that I would ever become a coach at San Jose State, but I thought, well, see if I can help develop this self-defense. But developing self-defense, everybody thinks, well, you take judo and you can do this. Judo, you have to do it on the move, and in self-defense, somebody's hitting you, you just stop like that, and that's about all you could do. But if you knew judo, you would you move ahead of time before. So I figured, well, maybe I better teach them judo. Mm-hmm. But it was called judo, but it really was not a judo course. So when I took it over, I made it into judo, as the title of the course said. And the first class I had this was 1946, and we had everybody coming back from the war, the veterans from all parts of the world, and they were arrogant and they were tough. They looked at you and they would rather kill you than say hi. So I talked with them, and the first class I had my roll book, and I said, calling off the names, and yeah, and they were mostly returning veterans from the Pacific area. So they looked at me and they think, wow, this guy I want to kill, So they wanted to, they said, are you going to teach us this thing? And judo. They said, yes. And they said, so one of the guys I always remember, his name was Vargas. He was a captain of the judo, not judo, but the football team. Great big tackle. And he says, I'm a Marine. He says, at Guadalcanal, I used to practice bayonet guys like you so that every morning so I can stay in condition. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, that was a long time ago. Let's forget it. And he says, no. He says, you can't teach me anything. He says, yes, but I'm your teacher here. No, you can't teach it. And he said, no, what are you going to do if I pick you up like this? And I'm only 128 or 30 pounder, and here he's a 250 pound, 220. Anyway, something around 240 or something, a great big tackle. And he picks me up like this. What are you going to do now? So all the rest of the classes, got 28 guys, and they're all smiling. Mm-hmm. Well, and so I said, what are you going to do now? And so he whirls me around and around like that. But I knew eventually he's going to get tired and he's going to be off balance. So I figured, well, that's the only time that I can win. So as he let me down, I was balanced, but he was dizzy. He went around and he was off balance, and so I just dumped him. and I really dumped him. And it was really hard. And of course, everybody, the 27 students there, so they were stunned on the thing. And so I just got up and I said, that is judo. And that's the start of our San Jose State judo program.
Wow, did you sell them?
And so that's how we got.
That's great.
And right after that, we were on good terms, all the rest students.
Even him?
Yeah, we got on good terms because now they consider me one of their buddies there.
Sure.
Because I said, I'm a veteran too. I served 4 years in the service.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they never felt that here a veteran, they couldn't understand how a Japanese that they just got through fighting, this guy is a class instructor,
Yes.
and how could he be a veteran? And of course it took a long time for them to understand that we got drafted just like they did.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And ours was a little bit different because our parents were already removed from wherever they resided into a
Oh, yeah.
camp.
Yeah.
And they were moved out, and so that's where we got started. And then as time went on, I showed them how you could do these kind of things. And then the student came up to me and says, Yosh, says, we were at the Civic Auditorium, and the Civic Auditorium is right now. And I saw a wrestler take on a judo guy, and he beat the hell out of him. He says, then I saw a boxer take on a judo guy and just pound the hell out of him. He said, if we're learning judo as a self-defense, I don't see how this thing is going to help us any. And they were right, because all these exhibitions were taking place, and the anti-Japanese feeling was very high.
Sure.
And so everything they did was against them. And they had big billboards tonight, Friday night, wrestler against judo and everything. And each time they would get beat. And they'd report back and say, so-and-so beat a judo guy. And so I said, well, there isn't much you could do. So I called, I knew that Henry was at University of California, so I called Henry and says, I'm Yosh Uchida, I'm starting judo, and I'm having trouble. They're having guys promoting judo, not judo, but wrestler against the boxer, judo person or boxer against a judo, and they're just beating them all up. And I try to tell them it's an exhibition, but they don't believe it. He said, how can you stop it? And he says, you can't stop it. I said, why not? He says, because judo is not a sport. And I said, what? I said, we all learned judo as a sport ever since I was a kid. He said, no, it's not a sport. So I made an appointment and went to see him. And he was very, very gracious. Give me an appointment to sit down and talk with him. And we talked about judo, and he says, there's no way you could stop this. And the only way you can stop this is that you make judo into a sport. I said, how do you do that? He says, well, one of the things you have to do is get this judo into a weight system, and then you have to get judo recognized by the governing body for sports in the United States. And who would that be? He says, that's the Amateur Athletic Union, and they are the governing body for sports. He said, how do you go about that? He says, well, there's a long process you have to go through. And I think the person you should talk with would be Al Sandell, who was the person who was in charge of wrestling and boxing, professional wrestling, boxing, and amateurs. And he says, whenever they have anything in boxing or wrestling, they have to get a sanction from him. He's the AAU commissioner of this California. So you should go talk with him. So I went to talk with this man named Al Sandell, and he looked like a real grumpy guy. And it sort of scared me, but I said, I'm here to ask how you could stop all this. And he said, you can't. He said, can you show me how? I said, well, how is judo done? So I explained to them, they learn this and they learn that, and then they work out. And then how is tournaments done? He said, well, da. He says, there's no weight system. I said, no, there's no weight system. So he says, where do you consider this a sport? He said, you have a great big guy and a small guy, and there's nothing fair about this thing. Well, when you stopped and thought about it, yeah, that's true. But in Japan, it was accepted. It didn't matter whether it was a tall guy or big guy against small guy. The big guy slams the small guy. That was okay. That was judo. That was all right. So then we got talking, and he said, well, you have to break it into weight system like wrestling or boxing, and I think maybe we can, he didn't say we'll make it into a sport. He said we could look at it. Mm-hmm. So got back with the grandfather, and he said, our grandfather said, yeah, how do we do this? He said, well, there's a certain procedure we have to do. We have to rewrite judo rules also to fit into this sport, make it into a sports program. And so Mr. Doiguchi and the fellow named Mitsukimura, but they were not really in favor of making it a sport, because they were gung-ho judo people, which is okay, but they figured, well, if you're small and you had the technique, you could throw a big guy. Yeah. But that takes years of work, judo knowledge to do, and it's pretty difficult to do. So, but they had high respect for Henry, and so we sat around, and Henry explained how this could be done, and we were able to draw up sort of a sports rule, judo rules, which made it into a sport. We broke the weight down, and I said, how do you think we can get a fair breakdown? He says, well, Yosh, your students are all Caucasian, and they're all big guys. This is, I have a lot of Japanese Americans and people that are not too big in my judo program here at Cal. So why don't we mix it together? And so he came up with a 130 pound, 150 pound, 180 pound, and heavyweight. So there was enough leeway between 120 and 150, 130 and 150, 20-pound leeway, so that a certain amount of technique could be used. Then from 150 to 180, so there's 30-pound leeway. You could, so, you know, we worked that out, and this was a preliminary workout, and we were under the jurisdiction of we're a subcommittee of wrestling, and we worked with the wrestler committee, and were many ways similar to them, and made it into a sport thing. Of course, there was a lot of you might say real gung-ho people that were traditional judo people, and they saw the world in a different way. They wanted to follow the same tradition of that the Japanese had established and Kano had established. But we said, I argue a point that it's, look, from the safety standpoint, he said, if we have any kind of a injury, especially our guys really are strong, and if you're working with a 120-pounder and a 200-pounder, a real strong guy just throws them real hard, there's a good chance that they could hit the head first or something, and they might break their neck or something. So that was my argument on the thing. And it will never rise to the top. And Henry had the same idea, that if we want to really make it into a sport where everybody can practice, you have to make it safe. So, okay, let's try it out. So we started out about 1947. We got the group together, and like I say, everybody was not for it. But we worked something out, and it gradually worked out, and we took the things that didn't work out too well out, and changed the rules a little bit. And in 1953, we held the first national AAU championship at San Jose State, and that was the program, part program. And
can I ask you, because it's such a long span of time, and it sounds like you were writing rules. So you were specifically talking about like maybe the points that are applied, or how the matches are judged.
Yeah, right.
And you were doing this to be able to present it to the AAU.
Yeah, right.
So you were doing this just.
Well, your grandfather presented. He did all the hard work of presenting to the AAU. And at the AAU,
but you guys were working on it together.
We worked on it together, because I had all these students that were big guys, and he has small guys.
He always spoke of you, the two of you, working as a team,
right.
on all of it,
And
including the Olympics.
And he was, well, at that time, he was, you might say, the most respected person in wrestling as well, in judo. And when he said something about judo, well, people listened to him. If we had said something about judo, that Jeff talking about judo, what the hell is that? You know, so it would never would have gone over. But
because the prejudice, the time.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I remember him
And
talking about that.
And so we asked Henry, and he took the leadership, and he did everything. So the credit really belongs to your grandfather. He's the father of American judo.
He didn't think so.
Pardon?
He didn't think
Oh
so.
yes, he did.
He thought of you two as a team, and that he had to put the face on it because of the prejudice, but that you were a team.
But we worked, and he would suggest, well, we have to get this kind of data to present to him. So we get all these data, and he would present it to the. We were subcommittee of wrestling. Presented to the wrestling committee. This and that,
And this went on for years that you worked on
oh yeah,
this.
and so but with his connection in wrestling,
Mhm.
it made it very easy to for him to present it. Whereas if we went, it would never been accepted.
So when was judo actually accepted as an AAU sport?
Well, in 1953, when we had the first national
Okay.
championship, then it was now officially a judo sport.
How exciting.
Yeah,
And so 1952, I think Henry went to the convention in New York and presented to the convention. And of course, the convention, the Board of Governors voted it in as a sport. And then it officially became a AAU sport, and it was judo is an AAU sport. And when the AAU at that time was the most powerful organization in the world. Whatever the AAU said went, because you have to understand that Europe was devastated after the war, and they were really relied on U.S. South America didn't know what they were talking about. They were always fighting revolutions. It's sort of quiet down now, but there was a revolution all the time. Somebody was getting killed, and somebody became president, and he only lasted for a week, and then there was another one. And it was that kind of an era. And whatever Japan said, they had no voice.
Yeah.
And I'll come back to this later. Japan had no voice, and we got judo going. And in 1953, we held the first national AAU championships as a sport, and we didn't know where to get people from, because we didn't know where they were. So we got every mailing list we could find that had a Japanese name to it, and we would send it. It says Japanese Christian Church or something like that. We send it out. So there's a judo tournament. So we started in December, and we worked till May, and we got 120 people to compete in the first tournament. So,
I think that's the one that I came down for, where the guy broke his leg.
oh, no, it's possible.
And that was held at San Jose State.
Yeah.
San Jose State.
Yeah.
And of course, in those days, mats and things were not as good as they are
Right.
today.
Mhm.
So I'm sure that the foot got stuck on the mat or something, and somebody kicked it and broke it.
Right.
But from there, we brought in people from all parts of the United States, Hawaii, Washington, New York, and at that meeting we officially adopted it as sport. We were AAU sport, and they all agreed that this is the route we're going to take. And Henry was the leader of the thing, and everybody followed.